down 4 scores at halftime. SEC teams are 0-286 all time.
Texas A&M completes the greatest comeback in school history. There's an interception.
Now the path to the college football playoff runs through Norman, Oklahoma.
We took down the number 4 team in the country.
Texas on the ropes.
Stockton. Touchdown, Logan Humphreys. The Dogs dominate between the hedges. They beat Texas again.
He's got a hat trick. Another touchdown for Keelan Lacy. Lane Kiffin's first ever win as a head coach against Florida.
Going over 2 bills, 3 touchdowns. We welcome in Heather Dinich and Paul Finebaum on this Sunday morning edition of SportsCenter. Great to see you both, Heather. What's going to be the biggest question the committee will have to face after this Week 12?
How do they sort through the 2 lost teams now? And by that, I'm talking about Oklahoma, Alabama, and Notre Dame. My sense is they will honor Oklahoma's head-to-head win at Alabama and treat them as a package deal, right? You take the 2 of them, and are they either above the Irish or below the Irish? I predicted they will be above the Irish because Oklahoma now has 3 top 25 wins and back-to-back road wins against Tennessee and Alabama. Alabama has wins against Georgia, Vandy, Mizzou, and the Vols. And I think when you take those 2 resumes, those 2 lost teams, in that committee meeting room will have an edge over Notre Dame, which has been playing very well. They've got 2 good wins against USC and now a road win against Pitt. But I think the committee might reward Oklahoma and Bama ahead of the Irish this Tuesday.
And let me just offer a little bit of caution before we put Alabama in there, Heather, and I think you know where I'm going here. Alabama has a game in 2 weeks at Auburn. And I'm not a historian, but I'll give you some history. 4 years ago down there, Alabama needed 4 overtimes to win. 2 years ago, Alabama needed what's called the gravedigger play, 4th and 32 in Nick Saban's final year. Teams are different, but the Auburn team down there is just about as bad as it has been, and the Alabama team is as good as it has been, and that is the problem. Alabama never plays well down there, so that is really something to keep your eye on as we move forward.
I would also like to point something out with regard to Heather's playoff bracket. The Navy midshipmen are in the college football playoff right now in November. I'm just throwing that. I took pictures. I'm going to send that to family members. Elsewhere in the SEC, meanwhile, Texas dropping its 3rd straight game. Heather, are the playoff hopes of this preseason number 1 team all but dead?
No, they're absolutely not, because they still have another opportunity against a top 5 team to impress the committee when they play Texas A&M. And a lot can still happen above them. Remember, the conference championship games still have to be played. They are right on the bubble right now. Guys, I was up late watching BYU because had BYU lost, Texas would have moved back into my bracket. So, no, they're not out of the conversation, but they do need to continue to win out, and they might need some help with it.
And I think Heather makes a great point. We can be prisoners of the moment, and right now Texas looks dead, but they're not because of that A&M game. And they will need a lot of things to happen for them. But I think right now, after you saw A&M play yesterday, you can start to think if somehow Texas can get home safely from Athens and get regenerated, they have a very good chance of winning that game. It is going to be a frenzied scene, but right now they just looked so bad last night that it's hard to imagine them overcoming all of this, even though mathematically and according to Heather Dinich, they can.
Yeah, that's a defensive line for the Bulldogs that has not gotten after the quarterback much this season, and yet they did whatever they wanted to Arch Manning. There's an Arkansas matchup for Texas before that aforementioned November 28th game against A&M. Heather and Paul, thank you.
Texas A&M's comeback win over South Carolina raises concerns for the Aggies as legit title contenders. Are you Paul in or Paul out on that?
I understand the question, but I'm out on that. I think what they did actually helps them. You talk about a resilient team.
Yeah.
Georgia has been resilient all year, and look at them the last 2 weeks. I mean, they are dominating, and I think A&M just really kind of just went to sleep on that game. It was an 11 o'clock kick against an inferior team. But what they did in the second half, I think, will portend well for them as they get to the playoffs.
Sure.
Let's talk about a Texas squad, preseason number 1 team, now 3 losses after falling to Georgia. So the question is, Texas, Paul, should never have left the Big 12. Are you Paul in or Paul out?
Oh. Well, what a prisoner of the moment question, gentlemen. Please, I am out on that. I mean, come on. Hey, do I need to remind you that Texas was in the semifinals last year on the goal line against Ohio State, knocking on their door? I will not bring up the fact that they were number one going into the season because that will only help you bury my argument even more. But I cannot explain what has happened to this team. But do I need to also remind you that if they beat Texas A&M, and I think they might, they very well may end up in the playoffs after all. Making this question, I don't know, silly.
Paul, to answer your question, you did have to remind me because I, for one, am a prisoner of the. Yeah, you can lock me up, throw away the key. I'm a prisoner of the moment. They're 3 losses. I'm like, dude, they're out. All right, Paul, last one. Miami is still the ACC's best team, but might not make the playoff. Paul in or Paul out?
Now, that was a good question. I am in on that. They are the best team, but remember about 8 or 9 weeks ago, they lost those 2 games in a fairly short period of time by just a handful of points to Louisville and SMU. One of those games was in overtime, and they just picked the wrong time to do it. It somewhat overshadows that big win at the beginning of the year on week 1 against Notre Dame. The committee tends to forget things that happen in August, but I still think Miami is the best team in the country, but I don't think I can get them in the playoff with this argument.
Okay, listen, they sure look good against NC State. Every time I looked up, I was at dinner with my kids, I looked up, another touchdown, another touchdown. Paul Finebaum, we appreciate the insight as always. Another edition of Paul in and Paul out.
Down 4 scores at halftime. SEC teams are 0-286 all time.
Texas A&M completes the greatest comeback in school history.
There's an interception. Now the path to the college football playoff runs through Norman, Oklahoma.
We took down the number 4 team in the country.
Texas on the ropes.
Knocked in. Touchdown, Logan Humphreys. The Dogs dominate between the hedges. They beat Texas again.
He's got a hat trick. Another touchdown for Keelan Lacy. Lane Kiffin's first ever win as a head coach against Florida.
Our guy, Roman Harper, had a front row seat to all of yesterday's festivities, specifically down there between the hedges as Georgia took care of business against Texas. Rome, good morning to you. Georgia seems to be getting hot. What is standing out to you about this Bulldogs team?
Well, Gary, good morning, man. I told you guys yesterday that if Texas was going to have any type of chance to winning this game, they had to play good up front with the offensive line. And yesterday, 23 yards rushing, allowing 3 sacks, doesn't look like you handling business as an offensive line yesterday. So Texas could not match Georgia physicality up front. And to me, that was the biggest difference. You got a great Georgia team or a really, really good Georgia team finding ways to play their best 4 quarters of football late in the season when everybody's jockeying for playoff positioning and trying to get ready for that. In the last run, Georgia's 4 quarters look better than everybody else's. And I got to give Kirby Smart a ton of credit for how much improvement his team has had this year. You know, giving up 40 points versus Tennessee early in the year, having to come back in the second half versus teams like Auburn and a couple other teams. And right now, they look like they have found a way the last 2 weeks to play their best 4 quarters of football combined. And right now, they are a scary team because their 4 quarters just look and feel a little bit differently than about everybody else's 4 quarters in college football right now.
And Georgia's win yesterday was effectively 2 wins after watching Alabama lose to a number 11 Oklahoma team. So with that being said, Rome, the time is yours. It's time for Roman's Forum.
Gary, man, appreciate that. Setting me up right there. A lot of people call that a tease. And the reason why I'm not angry or emotional about Alabama's loss yesterday is because I love football as a football purist, because you always earn what you get in football in between those white lines. And yesterday, Oklahoma earned that win just as much as Alabama earned that loss. If you're Oklahoma and you force 3 takeaways and you get a 40-plus yard punt return to kind of set your team up to score, and then all of a sudden, your kicker, Tate Sandell, in his hoochie daddy shorts, comes out there and makes 3 kicks, big-time kicks. And all of a sudden, you have a chance to win that game. And you also have 4 sacks. And on Alabama, you earn that loss when you lose the takeaway battle 0-3. You don't make your kick. Your guys had a chance for 2 interceptions, and you dropped those, and Oklahoma made their interception. And all of a sudden, your kicker doesn't make the kick. You earn that loss as well. I don't care if you're playing on Sunday night, Monday night, Friday football nights. or Wednesday junior high football games. Take nameless, faceless teams. If you have those stats, you're going to win that game if you're that team that does what Oklahoma did last night. So shout out and congratulations to Oklahoma because they earned that win. Yeah. But I will say this, it flipped the SEC upside down, and I'm kind of low-key here for it. I'm just saying, it's going to be some drama, and I'm not mad at it.
Alabama hadn't lost a game since August. Real quick, Roman, what kind of shorts were those?
Hoochie Daddy shorts.
Hoochie Daddy shorts.
I wear them in the
That's
summer.
Right. Hoochie, and Roman wears them in the summertime.
There we go.
Thank goodness we're going into winter. Roman Harper, much appreciated.
You want this, you got that. Don't wait, watch them walk right past you. Run fast while you have the chance. Don't speak, let them look right at you.